What is up, guys? I hope you're having a really good morning. We've got a lot of fun today. Look at the charts, look at the economy, and look at some news. We've got a special guest today. I'm excited to intro. But before I get into that, let's go ahead and hear from the man down there.
Hotel room. I don't know what the audio sounds like because I have not heard, but you guys still got me. I just left Florida and it sucked me back in. Kind of disappointing. I'm not a big Florida guy, even though I've lived here my entire life. I'll tell you what, T-Shirt, it was very weird. And I called you yesterday and you didn't pick up for me, so that kind of hurt my feelings. But I drove through Gainesville, Florida, and it was very weird because for the last 10 years, every time I get back into Gainesville, I'm taking an exit to go home.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just a city I drive through when I'm trying to get down and up places. So a little bit weird, a little bit strange, but I kind of liked it. Not gonna lie, didn't like that you didn't pick up the phone. That again, that hurt my feelings. So
Yeah, I was on the phone with some other TA analysts.
yeah, that's what I would say too. Yeah.
But we are not alone this morning. We're joined from our friend from the Down Under, Alex O from YouTube. You may have heard of him on Twitter or YouTube. You can find his links down in our description. Alex, how are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you, T-Shroom, for having me. Thanks, Tim, for having me as well. Investment Bros, I'm totally grateful for you guys having me out today. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's our pleasure. Well, I've got a good quote of the day here for you guys before we get into our regularly scheduled programming here. The quote of the day is, successful investing is about managing risk, not avoiding risk. That from Ben Graham, the man who wrote the book, who Warren Buffett trades on. So much wisdom from Ben Graham there. But let's go ahead and let's read some of these names that are in the chat, guys. Our first names of the day was A Mellow Fellow and Mike Play. Were the first folks to get in there and make it happen. But that's not all. There's more folks in the chat, so let's get into it. Crypto JMP got Mike Play, A Mellow Fellow. Those guys were already first. Get another shout out there. Philly Skills 1428. Mr. J, Crypto Trades. What is up, Crypto Trades? CBD Suddy, Elliot Locke, Eric Wallen. Eric Wallen in the chat. ADA Ace in the chat. ADA loves to look at things by ADA. CBD Suddy, Crux of Crypto, Rick Wilson, T Shroom. I've heard that guy's crazy, T Shroom. Let's see. Joe Nickel, CBD Suddy. I think he's got like the 5th shout out now. Curtis Rorick. Gia S, Steve E. Shrum, my father, wouldn't be here without him. And Crypto Pew Pew Cruz. There's a lot more names here. Let's see. Crypto Trappa, Ninja Glock, Crypto AI, and tons more, guys. If I didn't read your name, that just means you got to wake up earlier. You got to want it more. You got to hustle harder. All right, guys. Well, before we get going any further, I want to go ahead and get into the economic outlook. We've had a print this morning, so let's go ahead and check that out. That is the retail sales month over month here. Piper, if you're watching. By the way, guys, Piper is not on the show today. Why? Because he's in vacation in San Antonio. I don't know if he's watching or listening right now. He probably... No, he is, because he said there was no sound. Pardon me for the technical difficulty there, by the way. But Piper, you'll be proud that I had the economic projection here. You probably thought I forgot about it. Retail sales month over month came in actual 0.4 here to the upside. The consensus was 0.8, so it missed. The consensus and the forecast, it missed both of those. And then, but it's coming in higher than previous. So there's been an increase since the previous month, but it came in lower than what was forecasted. So the bulls and the bears get a nice talking point. Probably won't move markets too much. If you're a name like Gap and all you do is sell to retail, it might be a problem. If you're a name like Amazon, you're going to be hit a little less hard because they have a lot of diversified revenue streams. So this is mostly going to impact stocks. Guys, not going to have a huge impact on crypto unless the markets really start moving as a result of this, which I do not anticipate. That's going to go ahead and wrap out our macro section here. So we can go ahead and move on into just kind of chatting a little bit about Alex, a little bit. We're going to get into the TA here in just a second, but Alex, tell us a little bit about kind of what you've been looking at in crypto here from a macro standpoint, kind of what you've been expecting here, and then we'll go ahead and get onto your chart.
Well, from a macro standpoint, thank you so much, T Shroom. I've been looking at true inflation. I've been looking at the Fed watch as well. And from what I can see, a lot of people think that we're going to go um, even here on the Fed watch on the next target rate and stay at 5%. Also on true inflation, I can see that we're at 3.48% as of yesterday. And on the macro outlook, I'm definitely looking at some earnings coming in. Definitely looking at like Home Depot and Alibaba coming in this week. So things like that, I'm keeping my eye on just to see what's going to come to fruition for the rest of this week. Also, we definitely do have the beautiful Bitcoin celebration down. I think it as a celebration down in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And I even heard Crypto Face on Twitter saying that, there's always a dump during this beautiful celebration down in Florida. So we got to be careful here on what's going to come up in this coming week. So
absolutely,
watching that for sure.
Well, let's go ahead and get on the charts. I can go to your screen here, and you can kind of show us what you're seeing.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I can see a lot of otters in the chat, so thank you guys for your support. The Otter gang is strong out here. Nick Musgrave, Anthony Soprano, Nomad Dad. These guys are all loyal fan base. I mean, thank you guys so much for coming out and showing your support. Obviously, we're going to jump into the Bitcoin chart as usual. I did a little extra TA. We always spin the otter in the group here, and which way are we going to point? And right now, I am pointing down into the right, just because of certain things going on right here. Now, I was looking at this curvature over on Market Cipher B, and to me, it's looking bearish on the weekly. And we can see that RSI is pointing down quite dramatically, and we have come back into the red for the money flow. So watching that right now, keeping a close eye. I have two bearish and bullish cases that I've shared. So my bearish case right now, and I've been looking at this for a bit, is that we have this beautiful CME gap down at 21,175. And it is a golden pocket, which lines up perfect here. So yes, we do have this intense support at 25.2. So if we do continue downwards, I look for us to come down and fill this gap eventually, but that's not in the near future. I also have a bullish outlook that does look at us going up to, I saw Tim the other week saying we could go up to 50,000 at this golden pocket. So I like to build confidence alongside with great people who are doing TA as well. So there is a bullish and a bearish case in the long term. But as we jump down into the daily and the short term time frames, you can see that we've had a push up here back into this dreaded head and shoulders pattern that we were looking at here that was going to bring us down. But we have been rejected. But one thing I like to note is that even though we got rejected, we could flip this to resistance and be rejected and continue our way downwards. So I am watching that closely right now. Just as I'm not much of a pattern trader, but I do like to watch these things because everybody on Twitter is screaming head and shoulders pattern, and it can bring us all the way down to this 24 mark. Now, when I pull up my TA here in the close time frames here, as I flip down, we get into this area here where the volume, and I like to find my entries, right? We have this point of control here that has kept us down and suppressed us, but we also came back up and wicked here. When I jump into when I jump down in the time frames, I can see that this momentum wave has brought us back up, and we are being rejected here in a nice downtrend. Now, for me, what I noticed the other day. Now, for me, I am in Australia, so I am in the future, so I have a little bit of an edge. And I did notice this 2 hour beautiful, beautiful bear div that did work out, and we did get rejected here. So I was watching that, and I did try to notify people that we were going to go down. We like to write "we" when we get rejected here, so that's just kind of how we roll. So we keep our eyes on the charts right now. So in the upcoming future, when I close this here and I pull up what I think is going to happen now, just some key things to note right here. So what I can see when looking at this is that we have the point of control and the volume here. We came up to this key level here that if you look across to the left, you can see that multiple touches throughout. We have had touches ever since we had this big drop here. We've had multiple touches throughout this area where we came up just now and got rejected from. So this is telling me the bears are still pretty angry and upset that we've had this beautiful pump all the way up into this key level, right? So I'm looking for some sort of swing failure pattern in the short term. Now we do have this fair value gap just below us that I am, or the CME gap. I don't know why I labeled that FBG, but I am looking for this to come back and retest this key level because I know that there's liquidity down here. I know that they're going to come back up and they're going to try an either swing failure pattern or we're going to get rejected there and we're going to continue our way downwards. So I am watching those in the shorter term time frames for entries because we got to look for those entries in order to ride those longer trades out. So that's what I'm looking for in the short term. Now, with Bitcoin, when we look at the futures, we have these CME gaps that we want to be filled, right? We do have one at 29.3, 26.785 is the closest. And a lot of people say that 90% of these get filled, right? We did show you the long-term plan for this short term or for this 21,000 area if we come back and get rejected all the way back down past 25, okay? Now, when I jump into the Dixie, my confluence here is that we have this 100 level to me that's very significant. When we go out on the weekly, we can see prior to this huge pump up, we can see that we were in this zone for so long and we've come back down and we've double bottomed. Now, I was watching this in order to build confluence because it has an inverse correlation with Bitcoin. Now, we were looking for it to pop back up here and come up to this 102 area, which it did quite beautifully. And now we're looking for some sort of retrace down here and to continue upwards if the bears are going to stay in control. So when the market opens, we'll look for a reaction at the price here and try to see which way the Dixie will send us. When I jump over to the S&P here to build confluence as well, I see that there's this trend line here that was broken and we have consolidated sideways and we have started making higher lows. Now, for me, we have to get above this 4,200 area in order for the bulls to take control. We failed to get above this and we seem to be heading downwards. So I am watching this quite closely in the next coming days just to see how it reacts this week because we haven't been able to get above here and put in a higher high. So that's something also I'm watching in the short to medium time frame. So overall, I'm watching these prices. Make sure to add these to your charts. Look for a reaction at these levels. In my Discord, we add these levels and we've been bang on for the highs and the lows all the way down here with entries. So make sure to add these to your charts and be ready to look for bearish divergences or exhaustion or volume to expire. So that's kind of where I'm at right now with the Bitcoin price.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing that with us, Tim. Is there anything that you wanted to share on your screen that you're seeing on Bitcoin that Alex didn't just cover?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think Alex did a great job right there. I would say there's a specific price that I'm looking at. If you want to go and share my screen, there's one spot I'm looking at to say, hey, we got to get above this level if we want to see the rally continue. First thing that I noticed this morning going through some TA, we're in a falling channel at the moment. Going back here to the support level we had on the 4-hour chart back on April 9th. This is a cloned line. So I created this support level, cloned it, came up here. There's some very nice touches. Something you guys need to know about this, you want to look for opposite touches. So we got some nice things going on here. If this is the first wave, 1, 2, I'm going to go ahead and call all the way over here. Even though we have some touches right here, I'm going to go ahead and call the touch here. 4, 3, 4. So what I'm looking for is a move to the upside, and a fifth wave is sometimes you're going to see that fifth wave be the breakout, and sometimes you see one more rejection and then maybe a little bit of a downward movement before moving up, or even potentially another retest, a sixth move to the support level. But you do want to see 5 waves. So I am looking for that upward movement to happen, hopefully somewhat soon. But to get that to happen, we're going to need to see 28,000, we don't need to just get to 28,000. We need to reconquer it. You guys can see here on the 4-hour chart, the dynamic reactor on the 4-hour chart is above us, and it's going to be crossing right in that path. If I were to get rid of that, I'm going to talk about this oscillator here in just a second, but I want to be brief because I do want to throw it back over to Alex because I want to get his take on some other alts as well. Let's take a look right here using our fixed range volume profile. You guys will see the point of control is sitting right there at $28,000. Excuse me, guys, if you hear stuff in the background, this freaking AC is loud as crap.
It sounds great. You sound
fine. It's
fine.
going to cause a ruckus throughout this TA, but we're going to push on through. So we got the point of control. We got our dynamic reactor. Notice right here on the oscillator here on the 4-hour chart, we just had a reversal come in. The good news is you move down to the hourly chart, despite the fact that we just got reversed on the 4-hour. The 1 hour is showing us some oversold. It's bouncing back up right there on that dynamic reactor. We also, if you go out to the 3-day chart, I do believe it's the 3-day chart. Yeah, you can see that the bounce we made here the other day was a bounce off of the 3-day dynamic reactor. Of course, though, what we're looking for is a clean breakthrough of the weekly, which we are not able to cleanly do here just a couple of weeks ago. So for me, what we're looking at here, guys, we're in a falling trading channel. I did say, Alex mentioned this. I've kind of gotten a little bit skeptical, guys, of a $50,000 Bitcoin price prediction. You guys know he referenced that here a second ago. I talked about us moving up to the golden pocket. Most of you guys know that this theory, though, of getting up to the golden pocket of 50,000 had a lot to do with mimicking what we did back in 2019, and we kind of have fallen off. This move that we just had coming back down to 25, we came to 25.8, and I'm a little skeptical here. I'm going to say this in a second, but we didn't quite get back to 25.2. I'm not necessarily sold just yet. We won't. Again, like I just mentioned, we're kind of sitting in decision point with this falling trading channel. We could move to the upside. We could move to the downside. If the bulls want to reconquer, they got to get above this level. Oh, guess what? It also is right there, right above it at 28.1 is that 0.236 level. Didn't even look at that this morning. So that's just another level of saying, hey, guys, keep your eyes on that. But also do not be surprised if we can't conquer that 28,000, that 28.1, even what 0.236 is saying. I'm not going to be surprised if we come down here and touch this blue line at 25.2 before breaking out down the road. I'm still a believer that 25.2 is going to be a strong hold for support. However, this kind of dream scenario where we rally, guess what? We are just a couple of days away from the Bitcoin rally. Part of my thesis as well was that we were going to make all of this rally pushing up above 40,000 up towards 50 before the Bitcoin conference. That did not happen. The Bears did a great job of holding off. There you go. Come on, scroll for me now. The Bears did a great job of holding off that push. And so now, T-Shroom, I'm more realistically still thinking we're going to get a pre-bull market rally that maybe gets us above 36, maybe closer towards 42. There's still a very wee outside chance we make it all the way up to 50,000. But to me, it's more realistic. We're going to find ourselves in this region before we get another crash back down. I'm just not going to be surprised, guys, to see us come here, kind of rally up here, and then come back down to 25.2 and kind of hover for a little bit before the real market starts in 2024. That's just my opinion. That's what I'm seeing on the charts. I'm still, the reason I'm sitting that way, though, is because, again, when you go out to these 3-day, 5-day, weekly chart stuff and you're looking at oscillators and everything, it's still in the macro very, very bullish. There's just some stuff on smaller time frames. You can go off my screen now, T-Shirt. There's some stuff on smaller time frames that still do concern me a little bit for the shorter term, and it's going to be probably what causes us not to get back to 50,000 just yet. We're going to have to wait till 2024. But anything is still possible. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what I'm seeing on the charts this morning. We'll talk more. I'll be on the show again tomorrow. We'll talk more. But I want to throw it back to Alex for the next couple of minutes because we have about 10 minutes left of TA. I want to hear what he thinks about some other altcoins as well.
Yep.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Tim. And I totally agree with that. Yeah. I saw that 50K and I'm like, yeah, that's a beautiful golden pocket. And like, even looking at like, I love me a fixed range volume profile. And you can see that there is like, that's like the last hope of volume as well as we get up there. And then it's pretty much moon bags all the way to the moon. So we got to watch that as well. And I also have this volume profile too, around 40,000. 500 as well. So there's a couple of stops along the way that we can definitely watch for as we continue upwards, hopefully in the long term. I totally agree with you, but I'm going to jump into ADA because ADA's been very interesting to me recently. You know, I am a fan of Charles Hoskins. I do love the coin, and I have a great community member who's always asking for TA on ADA. So naturally, I always try to throw ADA into the mix and our levels. And we can notice that we've come down to this 35 cent area, which is very key in with the golden pocket here as well. In order for us to continue upwards, we did have that beautiful pump, which was quite significant. And when I look at ADA, we're like, wow, we're getting above this 42 cent area. And with this 42 cent area, to me, it was very significant if it held, right? In my community, we talk about this hibernation zone that we don't want to get into. And when I'm talking about a hibernation zone, there's one for almost every coin. And it comes in down at these areas here where we had the FTX collapse and price really failed, especially on the alts, to get above this area. Now we want to see ADA hold these levels. Now that we've come down to this key level at 35, we have a couple below us, but when we pull volume across, we can simply see, let me zoom out just a little bit here and make this easier for your viewers to see. But we can simply see that ADA right now in the long term, in my opinion, we are at such low levels. I believe BitBoy just came out with a video on it as well. And for us to be at 35 cents right now is actually quite shocking to me because this is such a beautiful project. It's so decentralized. I love it for what it is. And the use case, I think, is going to grow exponentially over time. And I believe we're up over $3. So for me right now, I'm watching for this to hold, right? I can see that we're in this giant cluster here that was traded for so long. And everybody was calling ADA stablecoin about a month ago when we were heading around here, and we weren't doing a hell of a lot. But right now, you can see that we've made significant sideways action and heading downwards, but this has held, which screams to me that we could be looking for a relief bounce in the short term and continue upwards and come back and challenge these highs. So if Bitcoin holds this level and doesn't fall down, I think ADA can do its own thing and work its way back up as well. So I'll be watching these levels. Also, I'll be watching a reaction at this point of control, which is right around 38 cents. But I look for this 35 cents to hold in the upcoming weeks for sure. I will jump over to XRP for you guys. XRP, I mean, shout out to Lunar Beaches Crypto who's in the chat. We were looking at 33 cents and we were like, this is a perfect buying area. And we remember this wick, but you can see we have this trend line here and we look just like we were talking about before. We have this zone that we don't want to see price get into, right? We have this zone, and this zone is obviously where we've crashed and stuff like that, but we want to make sure that we hold here at 41 cents, right? Anything lower, we'll look for this trend line. Add it to your charts. We'll look for this trend line to hold as well. But if we do pull a volume across here, let's take a look at the volume, and we can see that we do have a key level of support coming in right over here, and that is around 38 cents. So I'll be watching 38 cents if we do continue up or downwards. But if we do bounce from here, we'll look to target this value area high, and also point of control, which is over around 50 cents, right? So we want to be watching XRP, and I believe I heard you guys talking about it, how, it's risk versus reward with XRP. Like, do I want to DCA into XRP and make sure I don't miss if they win that court case, right? So for me, there is risk to reward, but it is looking kind of good in my opinion. So I'm not giving any financial advice, but I wouldn't want to miss a big move from XRP. So for me, I definitely am DCAing, but I am watching these levels. And if we do drop below this 41 cents, I will look to DCA some more just because I am bullish if we do win that court case. So I will jump over to Ethereum. Now, Ethereum, same thing. We got this hibernation zone that we don't want to fall into, okay? But we gotta watch Ethereum because for me, with all this with all the meme coins and all this stuff and ETH being burned and I believe Ethereum, you gotta double check me on this, but I heard Cryptos R Us talking about it's at its lowest amount of coins available since 2015, something wild like that. So it's like, wow, Ethereum's really doing its job lately. So I'm watching Ethereum. I'm hoping for lower prices just so I can add to my bags. Don't call me a permabull, just call me excited for Ethereum. And let's just continue to watch it here. Watch this key level of support. We want to make sure it doesn't break. And if it does, for me, I was always looking at 2 levels of volume for Ethereum, and it's within these ranges here. So we have this range where it can come back into, and we have the range obviously down below here that this is like fill your bags lottery ticket, right? So we want to be very cautious with trading these. Look for Bitcoin to lead the way, and from there we can hopefully accumulate some more bags. But if we do get a nice bounce here, look for it to continue upwards and challenge the highs.
Yeah, absolutely. Very cool. So yeah,
real quick, T-shirt, before we move on, I will say I want everyone to see this. There's one concern. Go to share my screen. One concern I have about Ethereum right now on the charts. I'm here on the 4-hour chart. We're high on that 4-hour chart with a twisted ribbon that came down. But here's the real kicker. And people who've been watching us know that we've talked about this a good amount. This concept of turning former support or terminal resistance into the opposite can be a massive swing of momentum. So, something we talked about the other week, I'll show this real quickly before let me go the oscillators down. Fibonacci, it's not that drastically down when you go to the March 10th low up to the high, where we came down here and kind of bounced off the 0.5. But here is my dilemma, guys. We just came back up, touched the 0.382 and this former level of support, turning it into resistance. That is not a good sign. I'm not necessarily saying Ethereum's crashing and going to be going to new lows, but go back to my face here, T-Shroom. This is what you want to kind of look at when you're looking at this chart and you're seeing bearish things, and then things that Alex just said. Ethereum is at a place where it has its lowest amount of coins available that it has had in years. Let's just do some quick math, guys. The supply is down. Why is the price not skyrocketing? In fact, we're actually seeing bearish things come on the chart. I'm not trying to be a fudster here because I think Ethereum's not in trouble long term, but it's in trouble short term. The fact that the supply is this low and the price is still struggling is not a good dynamic. I think right now Ethereum's still trying to figure some stuff out. Maybe it's still trying to stiff arm, keep the SEC off of it. But the only thing keeping Ethereum afloat right now is the fact that they're burning tokens. And this could spell a decent scenario for Cardano, Sui, some of these other layer ones to kind of come in and take up some of the demand from Ethereum, because clearly it's not Ethereum that has high demand right now. They just have low supply, and that's keeping the price afloat.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Definitely got to mind our P's and Q's here, guys, as we're navigating the markets. But thank you, Tim, and thank you, Alex, for presenting kind of the TA arguments there of what we can kind of expect here coming up in the near future from our crypto prices. We are reaching the beginning of the market open here in New York in the Eastern Standard Time. So it is about to be 9:30, which will mark the beginning of the market open here. After
what's
that,
really important, T-Shroom?
Yeah, what's that?
115 people watching right now, but only like 62 likes.
That's right.
It's a horrible ratio.
We got to pump the likes, guys. We got to pump those likes. And also, if you're watching for the first time, go ahead and consider subscribing if you're enjoying kind of our takes here and our production and kind of what we're doing. If you're enjoying the vibe in the chat, we have one of the best vibes in the chat down there. So it's just a group of really, really highly passionate bros, passionate about crypto and passionate about making that sweet cheddar. So go ahead, definitely hit those likes and make sure that you're considering subscribing as well. So let's go ahead and get into the market open here, guys. It's gonna be me. I do the market open. If you're new to the channel, it's your boy T Shroom. I've got a chart specifically pulled up here. It's C3.ai. C3.ai did 23% yesterday, guys. It's having a little bit of a retrace today. C3.ai, what is it? It's an AI stock. Enterprise. If you have a company, they set up AI to help your company be more efficient, so you can fire all your staff, right, and drive up the unemployment rate, and put Jerome Powell even more in the corner. But yeah, so that C3.ai, guys, had a gap up, and then it had a huge green candlestick, as you can see there, getting, let's see, was it back into the trade band there. So very, very interesting moves there. It's been under bought, I'd say, kind of oversold here, below that lower trade band. So C3.ai is a name to watch. I didn't pick any up back here, which was very foolish on my part, but here we go. Let's go ahead and get into the market open here, guys. Energy coming in quite a bit higher. Natural gas natural gas coming in higher. The ETF up 2.5%, and oil really unchanged here in the first couple minutes. Let's go ahead and take a look at the indexes. Across the board, they're red, bleeding out with the Dow selling off the heaviest, NASDAQ retaining the least amount of gains here. So selling off the least. Let's go ahead and check out crypto here, guys. It is mixed. You're seeing Bitcoin down 0.2%. Those futures contracts on Bitcoin down 1.5%. And then Ethereum is up 0.2%, which is kind of cool to see. Ethereum kind of fighting against the pain here on a day when all the indexes are opening red. See, Tron and Atom are green. Let's see, our winner for the day might be Lido. Litecoin's coming in a close second here, up 2.9%, but Lido is up 5.7%, getting a big boost as it's been getting thrashed over the last couple weeks. See this decline, it is now making a precipitous move higher as it reminds the market, hey, we are the number one staked, value staked there on our platform for ETH. So Lido kind of reminding the market there of it's the big boy in town. Our meme coins continuing lower, at least Pepe. Dogecoin up 0.5%. Our metals looking red across the screen as silver and gold get sold off this morning. Silver down 0.8%, gold down 0.3%. Mega cap tech stocks actually flipping the script here and getting bought quite a bit across the board here. Meta is the only one, and Tesla, but Meta getting sold decisively down 1%. And Microsoft doing just the opposite, up 0.9% there. That bodes well for the market, guys, to see Microsoft, Apple, and Google all green and Amazon all green on the same day. Let's see if Meta can kind of get in line and get with the program and get green and get that NASDAQ up back into annual high range. Let's see, bond yields green across the board. Pretty impressive there. The bond yields coming up. All green, even in the lower date and the 30-year treasury. So, and all about the same amount, 0.6 to 0.9% up. So, folks are kind of selling off their bonds a little bit. Those yields are having to come up to incentivize more purchasing of the bonds, but only by a little bit. Not too much to see there. Dixie down 0.05. Cannabis mixed, and your mid-cap stocks here are red across the screen. Kind of an interesting dynamic, seeing the mid-cap tech stocks getting sold this morning pretty decisively, but your mega caps getting bought. Definitely finding potentially some security there in the big tech names. And then your big banks generally getting bought this morning. Oil producers generally down. That's going to be our market open here, guys. The big story from yesterday was C3.ai up huge. And let's also take a look at Coinbase here, because Coinbase has been kind of one to watch. Go ahead and hit the likes, guys, if you're liking this stock analysis. Yeah, so on the daily, I've been on the daily chart the whole time. On the daily chart here, guys, Coinbase right in that equilibrium, really fluffing its pillow, really getting nice and comfy here, right in the equilibrium perhaps not for too much longer, though it may make a move to the upside or the downside. All right, guys, that is going to wrap up our market open there. Not too much movement. I'd say generally kind of a bearish day, but your mega caps are getting bought. Mega caps are getting bought. Folks are selling off the bonds, money rotating into those big tech names, and there's definitely some shining stars in crypto getting bought, like Lido and Litecoin. So, that's the market. It's moving. Just like every other day, you want to be aware of where money's going and where it's leaving. Looks like the NASDAQ is now ticked green. It's up 0.05%, so that's encouraging to see. Makes sense. Let's go ahead and move into our community section here. And today on the community section, I think we're just going to give it up to Alex and just kind of give him a chance to tell a little bit of his story. Let's get into it. Alex, how did you get into crypto? Why have you stayed? I think is a good question too. But before he answers, guys, go ahead, hit those likes, get that ratio up, and let's hear what Alex has to say.
Thanks so much, Shroom. Yeah, I appreciate you guys having me on, and a big reason why I'm in crypto is because of people like you guys putting on. I know the dedication it takes to put on a show of this quality and of this magnitude, trying to help other people become financially free. I first got into crypto about a year ago, and I had no idea what I was doing. I just knew that I wanted to do something extra on top of being a carpenter. I'm a carpenter by trade, and a big thing I preach is that you can come to the charts, do some TA, practice good risk management, have a healthy mindset, and extract some profits and make some money here. Because I go to work for 9 hours of the day swinging a hammer, I come back, I do some TA. I try to inspire my group of people. I try to inspire other people to show you guys how it is possible to do this, not only working a full-time construction job, but coming home, and providing value to people who deserve it, right? And that's the community, right? This is about community. This is about helping others, and this is about growing together. I mean, I preach love. I preach trying to be better for each one another, and I preach honesty, right? And by being transparent, I think it helps everybody grow in this community. And this space is beautiful. I mean, you guys, Crypto Billy reached out to me and reached out to you guys and set this up. And I mean, it just goes to show you what this channel and my channel and other people are about in this industry. And is that we really want to just help people be aware. We want people to help grow, and we want to help people, find that peace and financial freedom for them and their families. So for me, that's what attracted me, man. So I stay here, I work hard, and I try to show that, everybody here can do it as well, right? So that's a big part of my message. So I appreciate you guys, and thank you so much for having me. And look at the community. I mean, they're out here, they're smashing the likes. I know all the Otter gang smashed the likes. I don't even have to question that. So it's just beautiful to see, right? It's beautiful to see that if you put the work in, you can actually learn this stuff, find channels like yours, and come and learn and extract some profits. So thank you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming on. And I appreciate that kind of synopsis of how you got in and why you stayed. And for those of you, I think you mentioned you're in Australia, right? So it's like 10 p.m. So thank you for staying up. What time do you have to get up in the morning and go do some carpentry work?
So it is 11:40 right now in the morning in Sydney, Australia, and I get up around 5 in the morning. Sometimes I live stream at 4 a.m. to catch the volatility in the morning. So I'll get up early, I'll live stream, then I'll trade, then I'll go to work at 6, come home, do an update video, and then eat and sleep, and repeat. So
Gotcha.
we're busy here, but we put in the work because we want to help people. We want to grow financially as well. So that's what you got to do sometimes, right?
Absolutely. Well, big shout out to Crypto Billy who brought us this awesome guest, and thank you so much for making that happen. And what I wanted to do also was we'll get into the headlines here in just a second, but definitely if you haven't already, go ahead and hit those likes. And here's what I want to do before we get into that is, Alex, without looking at your chart, Where is Bitcoin closing 2023?
Ooh,
3, 2, 1.
2023, we're going to be closing at 42K.
42K. All right, I like it. That's specific. Specific. What is going to be the main driver of buying pressure from here through the end of the year?
Adoption. I think the more adoption, some healthy regulation, that will be the catalyst in order to propel us forward, where we can get the masses adopting Bitcoin, just part of their portfolio. You know what I mean? I think everybody deserves to understand this beautiful technology and how it can help everybody out. So
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree with that more. 42,000. That would be a little bit lower than what I'm thinking. I think my prediction's kind of like 50,000. That's where I'm thinking we're probably going to end the year as folks try to shift out of
And
equities and try to prepare for the halving in 24.
end the year, T. Schumer. That's just the highest we get through the year.
I think that's where we'll probably be ending the year. Oh well, that's a good way to put it.
Pretty
I think
aggressive.
I know. I'm thinking 50K at the end of the year
Yeah.
is where we'll close. So let's go ahead and get into our headlines here. Let's go ahead and check out exactly what's going on in the markets. First of all, Argentina is raising its interest rates to 87% as it struggles to tackle inflation. Guys, this is insane. It doesn't say it in this article, but they just raised their interest rates by 600 basis points. So for some reason, CNN didn't want to include that, but I have my reasons for using CNN today. That's the highest level since the early 1990s, and currently Venezuela and Zimbabwe are the only two countries experiencing higher inflation than Argentina. So Argentina, as you'll know, is one of the bigger names that has adopted crypto. And specifically Bitcoin. There's been a leaked memo that reveals U.S. Democrats' organized anti-crypto stance. This was leaked by Fox News business reporter Eleanor Tourette on Twitter. And here's the smoking gun of a quote that was found in some documents. The problem isn't ambiguity, reads one part. It's mass non-compliance with existing law. And crypto companies can't be let off the hook. The U.S. has a regulatory system that has worked well and sustained massive innovation in the financial system for decades. We can't invent new accommodating regulatory structures simply because crypto companies refuse to follow clear rules of the road. So that this article then goes on to kind of talk about a little bit of mudslinging about how some politicians are positioning. Obviously, Elizabeth Warren is kind of the chief among those who are kind of leading the Democrats against crypto. So that's not a huge surprise, but these documents are a big revelation. We'll see how the news digests that today, just how big a revelation that is. My guess is that it might be a little more muted than that headline may suggest. This is the SEC responds to Coinbase request for action. No. So you could kind of almost get away with just reading the title on this one. And I think that's probably what we'll do. But Gary Gensler ultimately is just kind of, flexing the power of the SEC, saying, hey, we don't care about you, Coinbase. Bitcoin whole coiners reached all-time high above 1 million amid bear market. So that's encouraging to see. And then we've got a slew of tweets here, guys, that kind of help us look at the market as well. This from Whale Chart says, just in, Morgan Creek CEO Mark Yusko predicts crypto bull market set to start in June. So that's when Mark Yusko is thinking the bull market's going to kick off June. This is another big one here. Chinese yuan reaches record usage in global central bank swap lines in Q1 of 2023. An interesting development there on the de-dollarization narrative. And this is a big one here, guys, domestically. McCarthy, who's a Republican leader, I don't know if he's the majority leader, probably. McCarthy says no progress in debt talks since last night. So he met with Biden, and this is his takeaway. So that's going to be interesting to kind of see that. And then on the stock side, Home Depot just forecast weak consumer demand. Here's what that could mean for the rest of the economy is the title for this one. So that's on the stock side. Home Depot forecasting weak consumer demand. I believe they have earnings coming out as well That's kind of what I thought would be discussed here in this article. But anyway, throwing it back to our panel of esteemed crypto analysts, Tim, I want to throw it over to you because the SEC just blatantly saying no to Coinbase. Is this productive for the conversation around regulation in crypto?
No, it's not. But the SEC is not trying to be productive in the regulation of crypto. They want to delay it as long as possible, and we can't know with 100% certainty. But it's looking more and more every single day that the SEC is stalling for a specific purpose. Is that specific purpose CBDCs? Is that specific purpose for banks so that banks can potentially be the ones distributing crypto, not these decentralized, which they're not decentralized exchanges, but instead of these private exchanges like Coinbase, like Binance.us, like KuCoin, like are they trying to delay so that Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and Bank of America and all these banks, are they waiting for them to get everything they need in order to be able to offer crypto, and then they want to squeeze out, like, who knows? Maybe Gary Gensler was thrilled when Brian Armstrong threatened to leave the United States because that was his hope the whole time. And then Brian Armstrong's like, wait a minute, that's what he's thinking. That's why now Brian's saying we're not leaving. And now Gary's upset again. And that's why he's just like, no, he's like a spoiled kid who doesn't get his way. And he's just not being helpful whatsoever, which is why, and I predict this to be the case too. We talked about Gary Gensler's days with the SEC are probably numbered. Like, he is probably going to be gotten rid of. But the truth is, he would have done his job. Some people thought it would have happened sooner. I knew it was going to take longer. I'm not going to be surprised to see Gary keep his job into the fall, maybe even into the winter of this year, and then late 2023, late 2020, or early 2024. That's when there's a regime change. But the damage was already done that he wanted to get done. The question is, though, now that you've wrapped all that up, that the SEC has this super secret desire they want to manipulate the space, is it going to be enough? Do the powers of Coinbase, the powers of Binance, the powers of other exchanges, do they hold off and say, you know what, we're just going to stick through and wait for the next guy to come in that actually gives us common sense regulation? Just because that's SEC's plan, Gary's plan, doesn't mean it'll work the way he wants it to, but it's becoming more increasingly evident they are delaying. We got to just find out what the specific delay is for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I think I think it's good. And ultimately, obviously, I think that this is not productive for the SEC to just give it a big no. I don't understand why they must pursue this counterproductive way of regulating here, of trying to regulate a market that just wants to innovate, just wants to grow and bring value. It's frustrating for sure. But one other thing that's got to be frustrating for the U.S. government is the de-dollarization narrative that seems to have picked up some steam here today as the Chinese yuan is reaching those record levels of global central bank swap lines. So, Alex, I want to throw it over to you. I don't know how much you've been following the de-dollarization narrative, but do you buy it? Do you think that there's actually going to be a massive sell-off of the dollar? Maybe not immediately, but over the next 3 or 4 years. And do you think that the currency that's going to replace it is going to be the yuan or Bitcoin or Ethereum or perhaps a CBDC that emerges? Kind of what are your thoughts on the de-dollarization narrative?
Thanks, Shroom. Definitely the yuan has been making some moves, but when I look at the de-dollarization, I look at this BRICS movement. I also look at the CBDC movement. And a lot of what Tim was saying, I think with these bank failures, these are smaller banks, and it's really monopolizing these big banks in order to push their agendas. And I'm very, very cautious on, for me, living abroad and internationally, I'm constantly having to swap money from Canadian dollars. I lived in the UK for a couple of years, so I was switching to the pound, and then I was swapping now to the Aussie dollar. So for me, I'm always watching currency, and it's actually quite scary to watch this all unfold in front of our eyes, because that there's going to be control. There's digital wallets in Australia. There's all these new systems being put in place that are actually petrifying, in my opinion. And as it grows and as the control grows, it brings uncertainty to me, and that's a big reason why I got into Bitcoin. But with the de-dollarization, this depegging of the petrodollar, which is actually, I don't believe, a good thing in the long term, but I do see it changing in the next 3 to 4 years. I mean, if you haven't watched the Ray Dalio changing of world order, I'd suggest starting there and going from there. But it's very important to educate yourself on these things.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. There's definitely no more important narrative, I think, than I'd say the de-dollarization narrative is up there. It's definitely in the top three. I have been a skeptic of it. I think that there's definitely limited truth to it. I think that the powers that be, the media powers, and the Chinese, allied with the Chinese powers and interest, have every motivation to pump the de-dollarization narrative. And for that reason, I think you have to take it for probably only 20 to 30% of truth. You got to take it with a big old grain of salt, because there's powerful interests that want that de-dollarization narrative to persist, and it may not actually be all that true, and it may not actually be all that impactful in the final analysis of how it all pans out. Now, with that said, if it does, if what the BRICS nations are trying to do with the new currency backed by commodities, and what the Chinese are trying to do with their yen does come to fruition, I agree with you. It could be very, very bad, very, very bad indeed. So what we can shift into now, though, is like thinking about, is what Gary Gensler and the SEC are doing, as Tim shared, is that bad enough for folks around the world, for investors and just retail, savers? Is it bad enough for them to start buying up Bitcoin in mass quantities? And a good amount of them are going to get into the yen, a good amount of them are going to get into the BRICS currency, whatever that's going to be, right? But how many folks are going to actually just go ahead and get into crypto as a result of the terrible legislation and the terrible or lack of legislation from Gary Gensler, kind of bringing these narratives together? Do you see the poor action from the SEC as one of the main drivers of adoption internationally, as companies like Coinbase, kind of potentially seek alternative shores to headquarter? Alex?
Absolutely. I mean, with the regulation, it's very apparent that they're making it harder and harder for us to even accumulate with the verification. Even Bybit just recently went to the authentication. So all these exchanges are having to comply as well. But with these currencies and the de-dollarization, I believe um, the devil we know is the US dollar, right? So if we were to go and swap all of a sudden, giving all that power to something that we're unfamiliar with, that could ruin the Western civilization and how we have our quality of standard of living. So for me, that's the petrifying thing about it. And as a whole, as a community, I think it's more important to stress and to talk to our families and to educate our families and what Bitcoin is, what is a solution to hold value in the currency that we do have. And I think Bitcoin is that beautiful, almost spiritual kind of exit plan if we do see the dollar fall. But I do believe as well that the dollar is what we know, and I don't believe it's going to happen quite immediately, meaning in the next 2 to 3 years. I do believe it does have some more longevity left, especially with the way we've had these hikes, and you can see that there is pain in the markets, but this pain has been brought on by the printing. So if we can go to zero in the next interest rate hike and we can kind of cool off and see where the markets go, I think that'll be definitely a positive for the dollar in the long term.
Absolutely. Well, the good news is that there has been a record, as we read, there's been a record number of Bitcoiners, meaning folks who have been able to buy a whole Bitcoin. That is one of definitely the big positive outcomes of Bitcoin's big, swing low down to these ranges that we've seen in late 2022. But that is that is one of the good things, is that there's is adoption, right? And most of it, you'd have to assume, is probably still investors that are trying to get that whole coiner status. But that has been a good kind of outcome here. Well, Alex, it's been a super big pleasure having you on. Give a couple more seconds to tell people where they can find you on Twitter and YouTube, and then we'll let you go, and then Tim and I will kind of close out the show here.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Make sure, if you're part of the Otter Gang, subscribe to these guys. Give this video a like. They're giving value all the time. You can find me on YouTube at Alex of Crypto and Alex Louis Osti on Twitter. But I mean, it's shout out to the community. Thank you guys so much for being here. Crypto Billy's in the chat. Driving back, brother. Had to turn on your show and listen. See, that's what it's about here. So DDT out here, all these people out here, Nate Quantum Divergis. I mean, it's about the community. So yeah, you can find me. I would love your support. And I appreciate every single one of you. And thank you, Investment Bros, for having me on. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, we definitely got to have Alex back on at some point in the future, Tim. But I really liked him. And some of the people were wondering in the chat about my shirt. It says 1562. That is a reference to St. Augustine, the city in Florida. And all these flags are the different nations that St. Augustine, the city, and the fort. If you don't know, it's an old Spanish military fort. All the different nations that it has been under the sovereignty of. So pretty cool shirt. But that's there's a little trivia for you guys observing my shirt. Anyway, definitely hit the likes as you guys are on the way out. But Tim, is there anything that we want to make our audience aware of kind of as we close out here, and maybe some things to look forward to as you're going to be in Miami? Anything like that?
Yeah, no, I need to schedule. I need to make sure I find out my schedule for the rest of the week. But we're definitely going to have a meetup down here for anyone who's coming to Miami. I know Crypto Set Guy is coming. I think Crypto Trade says he is coming. I think Brad Geidel is coming. Let me know in chat. Put a 1 in chat right now if you are going to be at Bitcoin Conference Miami here this weekend. Obviously, it doesn't start until Thursday. It should be Thursday, Friday, and then a little bit on Saturday. But I will be here. My plan is to have like a dinner. We're gonna have a dinner. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I love meeting people, and I love getting to collab with other people and kind of get to know them. I hate the conference itself, so if I can, I'm gonna try not to even go into the conference. But hopefully, we can do some meetups. And I have a feeling I'm gonna get dragged into the conference one way or the other. So more than likely, you'll see me there as well. But definitely want to meet all of you guys that I can. I'll be on the show again tomorrow and on Thursday, and then the plan going forward on Friday, because T Shroom is going to drill. We're not going to have a Friday show. So I just want to remind everybody that in case you guys come in on Friday morning and you're like, where are the investing bros? We're not here because T Shroom decided he wanted to do some running and some push-ups for this week. But
yes.
Yeah, that's all we have, guys. I mean, as a whole right now, crypto's sitting in a very kind of like yesterday's show was titled, and we're looking at it. It's in a decision point right now. Do not be surprised to see some volatility. Another thing I want to point out is technically speaking, guys, when it comes to this Bitcoin conference thing, a lot of us are sitting here wondering if the Bitcoin conference is going to bring a crash to the market. There's a chance we end up just going sideways or even rallying, because while 2019, we kind of saw a similar situation where the conference, we saw the actual top of Bitcoin in that pre-bull market rally come at the same time as the conference. We're a lot lower than we are right now. There's actually a chance, especially with everything going on economically, that we could see Bitcoin either crash or start another climb during this conference. So you definitely don't want to tune out of crypto right now. You definitely don't want to be kind of being like, I'll check back in a month. Every single day is going to be really, really important. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys navigate the markets, navigate the charts, navigate the news, navigate the sentiment in the space, so that you can make the greatest decision for yourself, what you want to do with your money, because that's what crypto is all about. T-Shroom, that's all I have for today, but you can go ahead and wrap it up and send us out.
Heck yeah. Absolutely, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning in. As I've said a couple times here, hit the like and the subscribe button on the way out if you are not already subscribed. The only thing I wanted to mention in addition is that the newsletter did go out to our paid channels in Discord, in our Discord. If you haven't set up the Discord, we got a free link. It's one of the first links in our description. Also, Alex's links are there down there as well, so you can check those out too. But that newsletter is out. It's hot. It's got the T-Shroom take on meme coins this week. So definitely go out and check it out. But thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for listening. You're listening to the Investing Bros. We are the #1 most generous channel out there when it comes to investing online. We'll see you in the next video.
Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros. Army pipe, lethal on trade. Entries and exits, worthy of praise. Tim, the professor of the TA. Shout it out loud on the PA. T-Shroom's news, got the word. Doing better than what he deserves. Beamer, leave no evidence. Soon fly coop with his dividend. Trying to make paper, turn that better to cake. Money like Lego, connect the dots stack bank. We are investing bros. We are investing bros.